This is First Contact, Stories of the Call Center. Yeah, I've had a lot of conversations around this topic, and the two things that have come up most recently, and I'd love to know your thoughts on it, is number one is the dynamic between, yes, speed is important, but does that person really expect your call right then and there?
Or
And
do they even want
secondly,
it?
yeah, right. And then the second thing is there anything encouraging or inhibiting them to take that call when you make that call? So, in other words, does that call in 10 seconds or less come up as fraud or spam or scam? Does it have the name of the business that's calling or the bank? Does the call actually get blocked? Does it actually encourage them to go, like, yeah, this is who I wanted to talk to. I'm expecting this call because it's not just a number from blah, blah, blah. It maybe has a name attached to it or a logo or whatever. Have you seen or experienced challenges in, even though you hit the speed, but there's something in between that's causing the consumer's experience to say yay or nay to taking that call in that moment?
Yeah, I mean, 100%. You touched on a lot of different things, and I guess the first part is to if you're partnering with a third party vendor, a lead generation company to drive data into your call center or into your brand, that company, that vendor needs to be providing transparency to the consumer, meaning when they fill out this form, hey, you're going to get a phone call, speak to somebody in minutes, and then showing them, who's going to be calling them. Here are the companies that you've been matched with. Expect their call, and being transparent with the consumer. It doesn't work anymore. Where 10 years ago there was a lot less transparency in the process. Now there just has to be more. Consumers aren't picking up the phone from individuals that are not in their in their contact list already, right? If it doesn't say mom or sister, whatever, they're not picking up the phone, right? Unless they really are expecting a call. So you got to make sure that they're expecting that call. But then, now we're facing challenges with, spam blocking and ID, call blocking, all that sort of stuff, which is a big challenge for contact centers, to be whitelisted or white labeled and stir shaken now with spoofing phone numbers. I mean, it gets harder and harder to contact people by the phone. There's no question about that. I know a lot of contact centers, I'm sure you've talked about a lot on the podcast, are trying to figure out how to go about navigating that issue alone. But then here comes in text messaging, right? So text messaging is quite the opposite. Text messaging is sort of wide open these days as far as a regulatory standpoint. You can text message people, and if the communication level is there and they're opting into it on the form, I mean, that seems to be a really great way to go. Certainly that opens up a can of worms when it comes to training and implementing, how you go about implementing text messaging within a call center. Do you have a team? Is it based on just the agent alone doing it? Is it one-to-one? Is it automated? There's a lot of things, but there seems to be, challenges here on calling, but then there's a opportunity for text and other channels to communicate with consumers.
Yeah,
right?
it's
And we got
interesting
that
how.
omni-channel thing going.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's interesting how the various channels really all drive you either towards a quick answer, a self-service answer, or another way to get you to a voice interaction without the pain that many, unfortunate voice interactions can go if they don't have a proper journey for people. But with that said, to stick a little further onto the SMS side of it, let's say you're doing everything from the opt-in perspective, the compliance dots are all there. Are you saying that you've seen success in a call first, then a follow-up SMS, or an SMS first to confirm, like right after they submit the form saying, hey, you're going to get a call, and mark yes to take a call now or no, or any type of thing like that, where then they say yes and you just call them with that number? or you just say, hey, you're going to be receiving a call within the next minute. Be ready for a call. And then you call them. Have you seen or gotten feedback on the layering and dynamic of the order of things and then how you're prepping people to be aware and ready for that conversation?
Yeah, I haven't seen what specifically when you're comparing A B examples, what's working best. But I do know I've talked to a number of companies that are doing one of two things. One is they're sending out a text message at the same time or right there before a call comes. It goes, hey, we got your inquiry about your mortgage. We're going to be calling you right now. Phone call goes out, and then from that, hopefully from that same phone number. See, this is the tricky part is getting the calls to. I think these days require coming from a same phone number that they can recognize. And there's also ways to do this within email, and not to get off too much, but in email response going out in real time, going into a phone that has that same phone number in the email that you're calling from will on some phones will recognize that number because it's in your database now on your phone, that'll go, hey, this could be
Yeah,
XYZ mortgage
Siri is
company.
one example that does that, looks at
Yeah.
past
Yeah. So
calls,
there's
emails.
yeah, so there's ways about going about it. But back to the text messaging, we see companies not fully giving up that speed to contact approach with a phone call, but pairing it with a text message as well, and just sending out the phone and the text message, hey, we're coming out. And whether that's been perfected on the timing yet, I don't know. But it certainly is coming to, I think, fruition that text messaging is a really good way to set up a phone call, to schedule it or just tell them to call you when they're ready, which is okay. When I say that, I don't mean give up the idea of taking control of when you follow up and control and putting it all in the consumer's hand. That's not a good idea. But allowing them to have a little bit of control over, hey, yeah, call me at this time or whatever it may be. But I think I don't think that balance has been figured out, at least from my conversations, because no one's giving up that opportunity to call and call fast because we know it's extremely important to get somebody on the phone. And I mean, let's not forget, we're talking about people that have raised their hand and said, I do want you to call me. So it's a little bit different than, a cold call on a random Sunday afternoon and they filled out a form, 4 days ago. That's when you see contact rates go, in the can. That's why it's so important to make those contacts, within the first minute, within the first 5 minutes. And then every 10 minutes that lead gets old, the less likelihood of you getting a hold of that person is going to be.
Yeah. So I think before we hop into the next topic, to really wrap that up nicely, is one, speed is hugely important. But the other part of it is it's not a one trick pony, right? It's a multi layer of tactics that are worked in unison to help meet that person where they want to be met, how they want to be met, so that conversation can happen sooner than later. Because the longer you take, the worse it's going to get for that opportunity to actually come to fruition.